I've always been super interested in the combination of music and technology, and that's why we're here. And it's like back in the day was like DJs didn't have this software to look at to beat match, and that's like when Two Take says like listen with your ears. He's like vinyl DJs couldn't see the grooves on the records in the dark clubs. They were only using their ears. So like I think that DJing has come so far via technological means, but what I was interested in for this session was creating music with code. And there's like, what do they call it? They call it like a cyber rave or algorithm. Like there's a whole community of people that make music via code. And I mean, coding is tough and music is tough, and you put those two together, and it's like, how do we combine these? And just a few months ago, I came across this program called Tidal Cycles, which really blew my mind. And so today we're gonna like walk through at least like my learning journey through Tidal Cycles. And so Tidal Cycles as is right there. So yeah, luckily you're all on the Discord now. So like all the things to take talked about, I posted all the links there. I also posted a link to this. What we're gonna do today is kind of like work through this chorus one, and by work through it, I mean I'm gonna blast through the things that I think are cool and the way I understand it. I guess like you know where like some of us are like software nerds, and so I was like reading through like all the how-tos and configuration installation because I like reading the docs. But of course, I came down to these tutorial videos from the guy that created Tidal Cycles, and these just someone explaining to me with their own voice. This made the most sense to me. So if you want to like continue this journey, I recommend like this free course on YouTube, and that's gonna be kind of what I'm working from. So let's see. I'm going to explain what we're doing, but first I want to show you what it is. So Super Collider's up, Pulsar is up. I want to make this font a little bit bigger, and hopefully we can get sound at some point. This is where I thought it might go awry. So you can hear that. Okay, so what's going on here? Like, this is kind of crazy. Like, and yeah, let's see. We're definitely flying from the seam of my pants. So like, we're just gonna like look at my notes as we go. So, intros, basics, part one. Tidal Cycles is this program that is always running, and what we're doing here is we are just sending commands to the command line when I choose. So I'll press command and return here to hear like our kick snare loop, and then command period stops it. I can go here and press again command return, and we get this other loop. That's pretty cool. So Tidal Cycles Tidal is written in this Haskell coding environment, and what you're doing when you do that command return is you are sending sound to this command line down here. I'm sure like many of you have seen the command line, we are sending commands to the command line. And so the cool thing, this is the piece. Like, I'm so excited that I get to hit you with the mind blowing part right off the bat, is that everything you know about like time signatures and like, we think about house music as 4 on the floor kick drum. So like, let's run it. And we could like put a snare in there. Let's Yeah, exactly. This is so cool because they like loaded up a lot of like famous sample packs. So like you do get a lot of those classic sounds. So like we'll run the kicks and then we'll run the snare just on the I guess it should be on the 3. So let's run. Actually, no, it should be more like. Uh-oh. Yeah, we're raving now. Adding just another layer here. So that's like that makes sense because we're dealing with 4 on the floor. But this is the piece of Tidal cycles that really like opens up the realm of possibilities. So like, does anyone know what like a polyrhythm is and want to like explain it to the class? Yeah, many rhythms. Exactly. Polyrhythm, many rhythms. And so Tidal cycles doesn't work on the standard time notation of saying this is when this phrase starts, this is when this phrase ends. Cycles. It all operates on the same clock. So if we wanted to make a polyrhythm of 4 kicks to 3 of these highs, it takes like a minute to find the groove, but it's in there. So like I was like totally mind blown by this, and I was like, how do I comprehend this? Because I'm used to like Ableton where I set down like an arrangement view and I say, oh, the track starts here and it ends here. But how can you like visualize that cyclically? And I found a tool for it. So let's see. This Ploop tool is like super. It's really cool. So I want to find a better sound. So I'm like looking at my notes here, and let's code this. So let's see. This like CPU sound is cool. And then we're going to like crack open this note piece, which is going to allow us to then open some more MIDI notation of like the file in that sound file, which doesn't mean like a whole lot to you right now, but I'm going to get to explaining that. So let's like listen to this thing. Actually, let's go like a 5/4 polyrhythm, and let's like change up the note. So like. That's kind of harsh. But essentially what we were doing was creating a circular pattern that looks like this. We have the kicks evenly divided 4 ways between this whole cycle. And then we had those like, maybe if we just do like the clap, it will translate just a little bit better. Not that one. That one's like way too quiet. Sounds kind of wonky. Maybe let's just try like the bass drum. This thing is a little more. There we go. or if we put like a space in here, now that's a polyrhythm. So visually, and I think you'll probably be able to hear this. That's what we've created. Listen. Versus. So this is where Tidal Cycles really opens up the door for like math and polyrhythm. Is that let's delete these and let's just play 2 bass drums in this sound. Actually, well, yeah, we're just going. No lesson plans today. So that one's a little slower. Why is that? Because there's only 2 divisions on our cycle. We're only hitting it at the top and the bottom of the cycle versus on like the east and west quadrants respectively. So then I'm like, what happens if we put a ton of bass drums in here? The pattern speeds up. So everything in here exists on this cycle, and what you see between the quotes, this is back to the lesson plan. This is the mini notation. Anytime you open up quotes, you begin coding within this Haskell environment, within Tidal Cycles, within this Haskell environment. So it's like turtles all the way down, and so this here is its own piece of code that is like this. This is what Tidal Cycles does. It says, no matter how many sounds you put in here, we are going to subdivide it in an interesting way. Everything between the codes happens in one cycle. Exactly. So we can do some interesting stuff if we like. Let's just try to build like some cool sounds. And so as you can see, like I'm opening up these Ds are like the channels that Tidal Cycle operates on. And I guess this is like where we can kind of go back to a little more of the structure. So when I was speaking before about like coding and creating music and how arduous it was mostly because my whole experience had been using this program called Super Collider. And this is like at least, well, first of all, the language itself is like not the easiest to write or to read, but it also like conforms to more traditional like music notations and ways of creating music. And so I never really got into it. And like, I mean, it's fucking amazing. Like you have your text editor, you have your server running up here, your audio server is down here, and it all works so elegantly. But I didn't love it until I found Tidal Cycles, which runs the sound through Super Collider. So Super Collider is part of the puzzle, but Tidal Cycles gives us the ability to abstract away sort of that like nasty syntax and code pieces and begin to apply like these sounds in this interesting way. So we're using Super Collider and specifically this plugin called Super Dirt, and that's where we're getting our sounds from. We talked about the commands a little bit. Command return will execute our line of code. So 4 on the floor kick drum. And then I can command return this hush command, or I could do like command space to pause it all together. I guess like something that's interesting is you can also use like the numeric keys to switch off a channel. D1, D2, I think it goes up till 9. So the way that this is implemented is that the Super Dirt processes up to 9 signals at a time. So like I said, that we're passing bytes to, we're passing these commands to the command line. We can run up to 9 processes at the same time. 4 on the 4 kick. That's like a house song right there. Just done with my computer. Like I said, Tidal doesn't see the whole code. It just sees the commands that you send it via these controls. we could talk about loading samples into SuperDirt. It's in the tutorial. We're gonna skip over it. The mini notation. Let's see. You can tell I'm flying by the seat of my pants here, because yeah, I have no idea what's going on with these notes, or rather, like what I want to share. I think the coolest thing I was learning is these brackets give us the ability to create multiple subsequences on the same channel. So let's like do our kick piece again. So 4 kicks, comma, and then we'll do 2 snares. And so this like might look gnarly, but if we go back to ploop, we've like created this house beat again. So let's see if this works. We're using the giant kick again. Let's switch to BD, because it's just a little softer on the ears. BD, BD, BD. There's like a shorthand that you can use to like duplicate notes. So that's cool. Let's see. I'm really just using like these notes over here for like the hardest part about software is just like knowing what things are called, as I'm sure you can relate to. So like RS, this will be our rim shot. So we've got 4 kicks in a cycle. We've got 2 snares in a cycle, and now we've got 3 rim shots in a cycle. And you know what? Let's like do something crazy, like let's like just do clap number 4 a couple times, and see what happens. I have no idea how this is gonna sound. It's probably gonna be crazy. Yo, but there's a polyrhythm there. Like you can feel the groove, and you can just like experiment and come up with like, I mean, so like who here has used a DAW, Ableton, so you know we've all kind of more or less touched on it, and if you haven't, that's okay. The point being here is like, I mean, just like close your eyes and listen to this groove. It's cool. It's kind of cool. And like to create that in Ableton Live, like that takes a lot longer to do than what I'm doing here. So again, what we're seeing here is we're seeing multiple cycles. So we got the bass drum cycle, we got the snare drum cycle, the rim shot cycle, and then the clap cycle. So like these are all running together. They're kind of like in an array structure with the square brackets and the commas between all the pieces. So that's pretty cool. I think like, let's see. This was kind of my plan all along, is to just like pull some pieces from the documentation and see how it lands. So, okay, this is a great one. So again, we're going to run like a bass drum, kick drum cycle. So it's going to go kick, snare, kick, snare. But then with the rim shot going rim shot, rim shot, rim shot, really creating that polyrhythm. And even there's like something there. I wouldn't call it the most musical thing I've created, but the fact that I can create like this polyrhythm is super interesting to me. Let's see what else we have in here, because this is like, you can. And so, of course, we're not dealing with like time signatures. We're going to be dealing with cycles. And there's a command for it. I think I just saw it. Yeah, set the CPS, the cycles per second. So let's run it. Twice as fast. So you can change the tempo of it. I honestly haven't gotten like quite that far, but like even though it's like not tied to like the musical notation in terms of time signatures that we're aware of. There is ways to like optimize the tempo. Um, let's see. It's like I want to keep looking at things that I know how they work. So I guess the other piece of knowledge we're sharing is that so you have the sound command and you have the note command, and you're gonna like separate these different commands, these different functions from each other with a hash sign. And so um, the mini notation takes from the first instance of it. So here, if we wanted to, we're gonna play from the CPU folder. This is like a classic electro sample pack, and let's just do 4 zeros. That's cool. So what we're doing is we're manipulating the number of like steps in our cycle. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. That's like 9/4, which is kind of weird. But that's like how we're counting it over the course of a cycle. This note notation is actually cool, and you can just shorten this to N. You can just shorten this to sound. So what this is saying is, with this note, it's saying take the first sample from the CPU folder. Take the second sample from the CPU folder. Now take the third sample from the CPU folder. And so oftentimes I think it's like better to pick a sound and then optimize the file, the note that it's playing, to it just like gives you more flexibility, especially if you're in like a live coding situation. Bass drums sound mostly the same. RP. And so now, since we're not talking about kicks anymore, we're actually playing notes. So now we're getting musical. Let's try something fun. I'm going to put like the bracket notation in here so we can load up. Actually, not sure how that would work. We're going to open up another channel, D2. We're just going to do like the sound command again. We'll just do S this time. Bass drum, because we like that one. But let's make this like an interesting polyrhythm. So it's just cool because it begins to like rewire the way the mind thinks about music versus like notation, where we start somewhere and we end somewhere. And it's like how much can we fit into this cycle of music, which I think is pretty cool. I think I'm gonna about wrap it up. Again, I thought these like tutorials were great, and then especially when he gets to these workshops, I thought these were cool. Let me see if I have like one other piece. Oh yeah, like this is sick. This is an arpeggiator, and like I don't know what the fuck is going on here. You can like begin to like grok it a little bit, but listen to this thing. So now we're like making interesting stuff using math. This is like reversing. This is a reverse function and a juxtapose function. We're like running this like LFO cutoff on it, and it's like, let's see, maybe I can figure out a way to run this LFO on it too. Oh, I guess this is probably what this is doing. Let's replace this. Just make it like a little softer, hopefully. Not softer. Last thing I think I'll show you, let's like dig into this dude's videos, because I was like watching this and I was like, this is so cool. Alex McLean. It's like funny. It's
hello.
If you watch his videos, like the first videos are like super basic, and you see this guy, and he's like such like a regular coder, and he's got like the big scruffy beard. And then when they get into the real stuff, he's like all cleaned up and he looks good, and he's ready to like demonstrate his knowledge. I think what we're just gonna like spend just a minute more looking at is this video, because there's like live syntax highlighting that shows like what element is playing when. So we'll start from the beginning and we'll kind of like seek through this just a little bit. So he's using that. Yeah, I'll just let you listen. So he's changing the note of that liquid drum. Okay, actually, I do want to show you this other thing. So when you're in MIDI notation, okay, I should have mentioned this is where shit gets weird. So we have 4 notes playing on ARPy. Beautiful. What if we wanted to create a subsequence? We can use our favorite square braces again. Whoops. So what was going on there is I actually didn't do the right thing. I was using that comma, which was like playing these 2 notes at once. The sequences themselves aren't separated by commas. So now what we're going to do is on the first like quarter is play the 0. On the second quarter, we have a subsequence that plays the 2 and the 3, and then the 3 on the third and the 5 on the fourth. And like all of a sudden we're like doing quartet shit now because we're like having these like, and again these like sequences are like subsequences of this like circular way of thinking about tunes, and so like he's doing some more of that here. That's like the piece I wanted to touch on. So this is cool. If you're anything like me, like I'm gonna scrub through a couple minutes. What the fuck? So the possibilities are really endless, and like I think you can make really you can like push your creativity in a different direction because it's like it's mathematical, but it's not inherently mathematical. I think once you like dial in this like visual aspect of it, it begins to make sense. So like I'm not creating music from start to finish. I am creating cycles of music, and I'm fitting the notes in that cycle and letting the math determine how that works out. And like that's where you can get some very interesting polyrhythms. That's where you can get some really interesting vibes. And I guess like if I had questions, like I would wonder like, how do you like mix this shit down? Like how do you like apply like proper like mastering techniques to it? How do you make it like sound good? Because like there's only so much you can do here. You don't have a mixer, right? The bass drum is as loud as the bass drum. These notes are as loud as they are, and there are ways to do this within the software, but like my questions I guess are around the limitation of it, to where like if I wanted to make this in Ableton, like, should I just go like grab these samples and like figure it out using the piano roll so I can properly mix it? Or is there a way to somehow utilize this program and send it through a proper like mixing and mastering chain? So like that's kind of like where I think my next step is, and I do think like this course. Oh no, I just opened up microphone. Oh gosh. That's where my next steps are. So I do think like we've worked through probably like the first 2 lessons of this. No, just kidding. We've worked through like the first day of this, but it was just really like fun for me to dig into, and I wish I had like a little bit more to share. But Music and Technology Meetup isn't going anywhere. I hope to like someday bring you like this. but also explain what's going on. And it's cool, like I said, there's like whole communities like dedicated to like this algorithm rave stuff, and it's interesting because I know many of us come from like a place of like loving technology and code, and yeah, really just kind of like walk you through like how my mind wrapped around sort of these abstract concepts of making music. So I think that's just about all I got. But thank you for the applause. Let's go.